not just controlling your fate, but when you don't prepare for your job, you're screwing up my job and my money and my future contract and this guy and that guy and this guy, because it all affects each other. But that was a quote from those guys 2 weeks ago, and I thought, man, Jimmy Haslam used almost the exact same words. You could almost hear those veterans in his ear telling him, Jimmy, you've got to do what's best for everybody and not what's best for Johnny and what's best for Josh Gordon or even just what's best for Jimmy Haslam. But anyways, he said, we're not going to tolerate people who are irresponsible no matter what round they were drafted in, which tells me this team's making an example out of somebody. Now, I think they have to figure out what the best example to make is without cutting off their nose to spite their face, but there's going to be an example made out of somebody here to say, hey, now see, we told you guys we're not monkeying around here. And I think what really screwed Manziel was 3 days after saying, I'm going to be better, throwing a party that gets Josh Gordon suspended for the weekend. That one kind of did you. But anyways, going back to what you said, the Browns continue to say if these players cannot grow up and will not be responsible to their teammates and their coaches, they will not go forward with the Cleveland Browns next year. And that was
I think what you see there is Jimmy Haslam having Mike Pettine's back, where the people that said that, well, Jimmy Haslam was responsible for drafting Manziel and he overruled his front office and he overruled Ray Farmer, Mike Pettine, or whatever when it came to drafting Manziel and maybe on some other things. A lot of speculation that he was too involved, and I do hope he keeps his nose out of the draft room this year. But I think that, if nothing else, is an indication that he's echoing the sentiments of Mike Pettine there and basically saying, I've got my coaches back here. The guys that are responsible just aren't going to be here. Whether I intervened to draft them, whether I, took the word of a homeless guy to draft Johnny Manziel or my quarterback coach or whatever, that he's now saying, I'm firmly behind my front office.
Well, you know what? I will say this, and this comes directly from somebody over there in Berea, and I was told this a couple of weeks ago, along the lines of what I said about how they have a little better appreciation for Brian Hoyer. I think that Johnny Manziel's season and the way it ended went a long way towards perhaps positively correcting the Jimmy Haslam ownership involvement in how things go, because I think Jimmy Haslam was so sure, and he really did, whether he made the final decision or not, he was a big fan of Manziel, and he thought that was a good high-risk, high-reward pick to take. And as I said earlier, that's his kind of a deal. He's a gambler. He likes to roll them bones. And he saw a guy that he saw with some moxie and some popularity and said, hey, maybe this could be the guy. But regardless, I think this season, seeing him flop after your football guys kept going, hey, why? What's up with Johnny? Well, he's not ready. He's not ready. Well, that's just a coach saying he's not ready. Then Jimmy saw it for himself, and I think that maybe that opened his eyes a bit to going, damn, all right, I do. These guys aren't just telling me like what I want to hear, and they're not just telling me what they want me to hear. Maybe I should have listened a little bit, because I think that opened his eyes to going, hey, I may own the team, but these guys are in charge for a reason. I know that sounds crazy, but that thing blew up in his face pretty big with the whole Manziel drafting this year.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think hopefully he's humbled by that and has a newfound respect for the job Ray Farmer does and his scouts do, and that he'll back the heck off and let them run the draft this year totally.
Now, that being said, if it doesn't happen, Ray Farmer better figure out how to say, and maybe he can use this. Maybe this will be the new, like if you ever seen Kingpin, they had the term getting Munson in the middle of nowhere from the character. Maybe this will be the new term. Hey, Jimmy, we don't want to Manziel this draft, man. I know you really like this guy, but maybe that becomes the term when they're having lunch and they go, well, remember Johnny? Oh, shut up, Ray. All right, go ahead and make your pick. You're right. I'm never going to live down Manziel, am I? And, maybe that'll be...
Yeah, that's right. This year we don't want to go full Manziel.
We don't want to go full Manziel. When you go too far,
right,
you can't ever go back. You go half Manziel, but you never go full Manziel, man. or you can never get it back. Dan Wismar,
we'll make it
fan.
We'll make a verb out of it. We'll make a verb out of Manziel this year in the draft time.
We're gonna make a term out of that here in Cleveland, man.
Right.
Gordon will be the term for just sabotaging something and getting out, but Manziel will be the term for being submarined in something over your head and digging the hole worse. I don't know. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan. We've been talking some Browns here, end of a season. And 7-9, again, looking back to our predictions, I've got the notebook right here at the beginning of the season. I got enough 1s and 2s and 3s next to people's predictions that still improvement can be tangibly measured. Before I let you go, Dan, I wanted to talk a little bit. We don't got to go too far, but you and I perhaps catch up at the end of the week because I'm going to not do live shows on Wednesday and Thursday, but we'll be back Friday. And obviously Friday, we'll know whether we've played the last Buckeyes football game of the season or whether they've got one more to come. Got Alabama coming up here. Urban Meyer's telling the world that the Buckeyes are underdogs, man. What do you think here about this one coming up? You getting excited? It's a couple days away.
Oh, I'm excited. It's big time, and the guys are down there. Have been getting the daily emails from Jerry Emick there at SID, and it's building. I'm excited for the game. Like Yogi Berra says, it's hard to make predictions, especially about the future. But I think that the Buckeyes certainly are going to show. I would bet on the Buckeyes to cover. To me, Jerry, the game is going to come down to Ohio State linebacker and safety play. These running backs for Alabama are so good, so strong, and they are so relentless in the power game, the power running game, that they can demoralize a team over the course of 4 quarters. And to me, it's going to be a matter of, winning the game in the trenches on the line. I'm confident about Bosa and Bennett and Washington and the Buckeye defensive line playing well and holding their own. What I am concerned about is that second level, where linebackers have to make tackles repeatedly on Derrick Henry and T.J. Yeldon, and if those guys can hold up, if Tyvis Powell and Raekwon McMillan and Curtis Grant and Josh Perry and Darren Lee, if those kids can have big games, I think the Buckeyes have a really good chance because they're going to score some points. It's going to be tough sledding running up the middle for Ohio State, but I really do think that the difference in the game, the key to the game for me at least, just looking at it big picture, is can the Buckeye linebackers and safeties come up, tackle, and be solid enough in run defense to just avoid getting steamrolled by what can be just a relentless Alabama power game.
Yeah, I agree, man. I'm excited for this one, man. Like, people keep asking me, hey, how do you think it's going to go? I'm like, man, I don't know. That's what I like about this, man, because it can go several different ways. I wanted to ask you, I don't know if you said you've been getting the emails. Did you see Ari Wasserman's article? I don't know if it was in today or tomorrow's Plain Dealer, but I saw it online about Alabama checking with the Big Ten, trying to get a little bit of scouting, here and there about the Buckeyes. And Urban said, "Hey, that's cool because we went 24-0 against those teams. So if you want to take advice from them, then that'll play right into our hands." I got a kick out of that line though there at some of the media stuff this week.
Yeah, that's right. Ari's a great guy. He's a friend, and I love his stuff. I didn't see that piece, but that's Urban's a guy who's sort of quietly confident, and he loves being the underdog. He loves to remind people that they were the underdog in the 59-0 Wisconsin game. So, he loves sitting in the spot that he's in, and I think 9.5 points is way too much. Of course, the bookmakers always seem to look smart at the end of the game, but I'm obviously hoping they're wrong here, and I think the Buckeyes will cover because they're going to score, and I just think they have enough weapons to score points on this Alabama defense, which is not the Alabama defense of the last 2 or 3 years. But those skill position players on the Alabama offense are scary good, and they always have a very competent line, and like I said, you might hang with them for 2 and 3 quarters, kind of like the Browns hung yesterday, but they can wear you down in the fourth, and over the course of the game, it's just brutal, and Saban just milks that, and so I hope that they can hold up. I do know this, Jerry, that the Buckeyes in that Wisconsin game, one thing that jumped off the screen at me was that the Buckeyes were the stronger and better conditioned team in that game. Mickey Marotti's done a great job with this team, and they are bigger, stronger, faster, better conditioned at the end of the season than they were at the beginning. And I know they've been working hard in this 2-3 week period since their last game. I'm hopeful that will show up as well, and that they will, that conditioning and that strength will show. They certainly, I think, will prove to be as fast a team overall as the fabled SEC, speed team has it, as the Alabama team is. And I think we'll see that. But I'm looking at the conditioning and the strength too, because that's where the Buckeyes really have shown well coming down the stretch here in November.
9.5, huh? That's where the spread's at right now?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize. Matter of fact, just last night, my son asked me, and I said, you know what? I didn't go online this morning and look. I'm like, you know what? I don't know what they've got it at right now. But, yeah, that seems like a little bit much, too, there. And I want to clarify real quick, that quote, that one was Tom Herman, not Urban Meyer, by the way. But, yeah, he said, hey, that's cool, man. You want to call around and check with those teams? Last I checked, we went 24-0 against them. So if you want to get some help from them, go for it, man. Well, I'm all for it. But going to be a lot of fun, man. And it's exciting regardless, because it's the first time for one of these, obviously. And that adds a little more to it as well, just in general with this college football playoff. Going to be an interesting atmosphere there, and going to be a lot of fun come New Year's.
Right. Well, we can catch up Friday and rehash it, and that time we'll be ready for Wild Card Weekend in the NFL. It's the next 7 days going to be some big time football being played, and we can hash it all out.
Got that right. What does your gut tell you, man? You don't make a prediction, I get it, but what does your gut tell you? Are we talking about the final Buckeyes game on Friday, or do you think they got one more, man? I mean, I know they can do it, but I don't know if they will, but I know they can.
Yeah, I think they can, too. I will say this. I think the winner of the Ohio State-Alabama game will win it all.
Okay.
I think that they can beat either Florida State or Oregon, and I would see the winner of this game, the Buckeye game, being the champion. Obviously, you know where my heart is. I might as well just go out on a limb and say we can win this game. Whether to me, it'll come down to just that point I made. Can they slow down the rushing attack of the Tide? And if they can do that, yeah, I think we can definitely come out on top.
They're doing it for Herman, doggone it. They're going to win one for the Gipper on the way out the door, man. All right,
exactly.
Dan Wismar, that's it. Our final conversation I'm not talking to you again for a year. I'm done with you until 2015, man. We're not going to do this anymore, man. I can't do it anymore.
Sounds good, Jerry. It's been a fun year. I look forward to doing it again next year. Thanks a lot.
You got it.
You guys have a happy New Year. We'll talk to you Friday.
And you have a safe flight home, man. Get back safe, and we'll talk on Friday.
Thanks again, Jerry.
You got it. My man, Dan Wismar, man. He's actually heading from our conversation out to the Jetway and get himself back here to the Ohio area. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan, always a good time. He's usually with us on Mondays and Wednesdays. Since we're not going to be here Wednesday, we're going to be best of programming. We're off the air on Wednesday and Thursday. We're live today, obviously. I really just have to clarify that. We're live tomorrow on Tuesday, and we are live on Friday with the very first edition of the Sports Fix for 2015. So Dan's going to join us on Friday, help us get ready. John McMullen's going to be here, too. Friday is going to be a big show, and going to be a lot of fun, a lot of football. Like as he said, a lot of big-time football to be played over the next 7 to 10 days. Can't wait to talk about it with you guys. Let's take a break. When we get back, we'll get you some news this late in the show, I know. And then we're going to come back with my man Eddie Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland, beat writer, Cleveland Cavaliers, and he's been doing some writing. Obviously, they've given him some stuff to talk about us as well. Let's do that. We'll switch from one team's drama to another here. This one's starting to get thick. We'll talk about it when we come back with Eddie Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland. The Cavaliers had already got a little ugly with Anderson Varejao going down, but now you're starting to see the chemistry thing. A lot of that. I'm going to take a break, clear my head from the Brown stuff, get ready to talk about the Cavaliers' problems here. When we come back, we'll talk Cavs, LeBron, Dion, by the way, did you guys see the Vine that we posted the other day, the video, the little 15-second loop that we posted from the game the other night against the Magic, where it was hilarious. Dion Waiters was on the floor, and I wish I could show it to you, but it's radio, so obviously it's not going to do me any good. But Dion, his